How you doing? Good. All right.
Good evening, everyone. It appears we have a quorum, so I'm going to go ahead and get started because we are an on-time establishment. Um, is Mr. Scott okay? We're good? All right. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the Yeadon Borough Caucus meeting, May 8th, 2025. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we proceed with roll call, Mr. Secretary, starting with our esteemed mayor?
Good evening, Madam President. Our esteemed Mayor, Roland Hepkins.
Present.
President Latoya Moreau.
Present.
Vice President Leanna Roadcloud.
Present.
Councilor Nicole Beatty.
Present.
Councilor Antoinette Trueheart.
Present.
Councilor Michael Trent.
Present.
Councilor Jesse Peets.
Present.
Madam President, Councilor Loren Johnson will not be with us tonight. We have Kyle Miller from Kilkenny Law, our solicitor.
Present.
And we have Nafis Nichols, our finance director. Yolanda Hughes, our tax collector, is not with us this evening. And we have Jovis Gusco with Pinoni Engineering.
All right. Thank you very much. Next up, we will proceed with our citizens forum. I don't see any forms, so I just want to double check. Is there anyone wishing to speak from the audience? All right. Thank you very much. Next up, we will have our mayor's forum. Our mayor's forum. I'm taking your notes.
Well, yeah, that was the first one on the
Mayor's
agenda.
report.
Yep. Just a couple of things on the score. We did have our last mayor's forum on Thursday, February 27th. Next one will be scheduled for Thursday, June 5th. We did have a public safety meeting via Zoom 2 weeks ago, April 26th. 9:30, the next public safety meeting will be held on Saturday, May 31st. Also via Zoom, all are welcome to attend by simply logging onto the borough website at yeadonborough.com, clicking onto the link. Did want to mention there is a primary election on Tuesday, May 20th. And we have 3 polling locations, Evans School, Bell Avenue School, Penwood East on Cypress. Polls are open at 7 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. Our police don't have anything to do with monitoring or being inside. That's run by the county constables, but we do respond to 911 calls if there's a disturbance. We are up to full staffing, full-time staffing, up to 20 full-time officers. We sworn 3 new officers in March, and we still have Officer Roland with us as a lone part-timer. We're due to have 1 vacancy when someone is scheduled to retire in August. I want to thank everybody who participated in the Earth Day spring cleanup on Saturday, April 19th. We cleaned up the area of West Cobbs Creek from around, well, actually from whole of West Cobbs Creek really towards past St. Louis to Whitby Avenue and some tree planting. I want to thank Councilor Vice Chair Leanna Roadcloud for spearheading that effort, and of course Mike Mazzullo from Public Works, his team, and Chief Gianmarco for helping that. And lastly, many of you have heard about the closing of Crozer Chester and Crozer Taylor, and that has happened, unfortunately. It's going to cause stress in our area for hospitals and emergency provisions and the like. We have not only has Chester Crozier and Taylor closed, but Delaware County Memorial Hospital is not totally open. They're in a lawsuit and things are not good. We have companies who have bought over that some of those local hospitals and have made profits and left it in that type of state. So it's not a good situation. It leaves us with only Mercy Fitzgerald in our immediate area, like Eastern Delco. And all these hospitals provide, if someone's 302, do we have people or police or fire department, EMS with encountering mental trauma. We have to admit them, and now it's only Mercy Fitzgerald in our area that could do that. So they're going to serve as a clearinghouse. There's been an agreement made with them. They'll serve as a clearinghouse. If our EMS or police admits a patient or to them, they'll be the clearinghouse and they'll send them to the appropriate medical facility. So let's keep praying for that. This is really a big deal because they've closed a lot of the mental hospitals. There's not much left. Maybe Friends, Haverford State is closed. That was fairly close to us. So we don't have many mental health facilities anymore, and our local hospitals are closing. It's going to cause stress on the healthcare system. So the county's been involved, the state, the governor's been involved, but and the University of Penn was involved to try to save some of these hospitals, but they're heavily in debt because of the circumstances surrounding it. It's not fair, but that's what we have. So I have to report that to you, unfortunately, and to report the provisions that we have to maintain our quality of life and our public safety.
Well, thank you.
There is my report.
Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Chair, just to also add to the mayor's report for the earth, they really want to thank our sponsors, ShopRite, as well as the owner, Nick, of Quality Gas here in Yeadon, that provided all of the refreshments, as well as all of the residents who came out to help with the cleanup and also with the tree planting. We had a family with all of their children that participated, so we really appreciate all of that. And as well as Restore, and they have also offered that they would love to see us do that more than once a year. And they're willing to also sponsor that as well moving forward.
Great. So thank you for all who coordinated it. Vice President Roca, did you have something to add to that or not?
No, it was just important to me what Councilor Trueheart just mentioned, that we thank our partners and we thank the families that came out and other residents that came out to help. So that's important.
All right. And then if anyone is looking as far as the hospital closures for additional resources, the county did establish a hotline for those who are seeking additional information. You go to their website, you can get that hotline number. It's very important that we pay attention to what's happening in our community. May 20th is election day here. And as we know, the trend in Yeadon is that the primary determines who your representation is. Doesn't really make it to the general because our neighborhood is very heavily one party. So just make sure to exercise your right, get out there and vote. We always have a handful of people in our audiences, as you can see, not very many people on Zoom either, but you want to make sure that you know who you're voting for, what's happening, and get involved. So that's my president's report, and next week we'll hand it over to our manager for the manager's report.
Thank you, Madam President. For personnel, we have a few topics that will be discussed in the upcoming executive session and presented to the public at the upcoming legislative meeting. Last month, we advertised an amendment to Ordinance 220-70 to the property code. It's entitled Abatement, Impounding, and Violations. This will allow the borough to levy citation for vehicle-related violations that occur on private property. We will advertise a new ordinance regulating tarp-covered cars on public streets. As you know, leaving a car under a tarp on public streets is happening more frequently and poses a specific safety hazard for the public. We will have a resolution adopting the updated permit fees, and it also authorizes the borough to remove outdated fees throughout E-Code 360 and refer to a centralized fee schedule in E-Code 360. Just a reminder, the June legislative meeting will be held on June 12th as the borough honors Juneteenth on the third Thursday of June. And the Yeadon Borough Spring Newsletter is out. Look for the digital version on the borough website and soon in your mailbox. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have our solicitor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Now, for those of you who have yet to meet, my name is Kyle Miller. I'm in my second year with Kilkenny Law, and I'll be sitting in for Brianna in her absence. I'll be governing the caucus meetings, and I believe Sean will continue to sit in for the legislative meetings. And so over the past couple of weeks, just getting up to speed, I have been working with Ms. Criswell and some of the code enforcement on some property issues over the years. So I have had some lines of communication. I know that the borough manager and I have also been communicating on a few other odds and ends. So it's not that I'm not coming in completely out in the woods, but it's certainly going to take a bit of time just to get my task list up to speed and make sure I have everything organized. So once we work out our system for how we want to transmit the information, and hopefully I can see the requests as quickly as I can. Other than that, like I said, working with Ms. Criswell, I believe now that the weather is warming up and the grass is growing and the trees are blooming, I assume that the folks will be out checking out some of the properties to make sure that they're in compliance with the property maintenance code. So we'll stay on top of that. We have a pretty good system established so far. It's just a matter of kind of fine tuning it to make sure everything's good in hopes of and just maintaining the beautification of the borough here. So nice to meet everyone, and thanks for having me.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome. All right. Next up, we will have our tax collector's report.
Good evening, Madam President. Before I begin, I just wanted to take this opportunity to wholeheartedly thank all of the elected officials, borough officials, and employees and residents for the outpour of love and support that they gave to myself and my family during my time of bereavement. It means so much, words cannot express. I received a ton of text messages, calls, emails from residents that was touching, and it shows that I'm a part of this community, and I appreciate that. So I just wanted to thank you all publicly for the beautiful flowers that were sent and all of your prayer thoughts. So thank you. For the month of April, our tax collection for real estate, $2,445,175.48. Our sewer collection, $982,732. Our trash collection, $618,420. For the month of April, all books are reconciled to the penny as of yesterday, so we're excited about that. Tax collections are going very, very well. That is the tax collection report.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have our engineer's report.
Good evening. Couple items for you to consider next week at your legislative meeting. First is there is a grant opportunity with DCED, Greenways Grant, Trail and Recreation Program. Our thought was possibly to recycle. We've submitted this a couple times for the next phase of the community park, which would include the rubberized surface, the additional parking lot of Providence, some stormwater management and field restoration. We've already submitted that project a couple times, and it's always good to submit it again. It fits the program, because if we are lucky to get a second grant, if we get one of the other ones to get a second, then it will offset the borough match. So that's an important part of submitting those. So if that's acceptable to council, then you'll need a resolution at next week's meeting. One of the other things you'll have to do is to pass a resolution on what the Cobb's Creek project, the TA set aside. There's a requirement for the authorizing the borough as a signer for all the documents. I assume that will be Rafi to do that, but they need a resolution authorizing that the borough as a signer for that project. And then lastly, the borough has already received a Delco Greenway grant for a basketball court in the amount of $120,000. There is no match at the community park, and I think it was borough's. I think that council did not favor putting that basketball court there. So we did have a meeting this past month to go over some capital projects with Rafi, with Public Works. Catherine was there, and the thought was to possibly repurpose that for instead of in lieu of a basketball court, tennis court, and the tennis court could also serve. You could put 2 pickleball courts inside a tennis court. And since those things are very popular, the one question was whether or not that would meet the budget, because the fence has to be quite a bit higher for tennis than it would be for basketball. So we looked at the budget. We do think we can do that project within that $120,000 budget. So again, I don't need an answer tonight, but if that's council's consideration to possibly repurpose that grant, then we could ask the granting agency if that would be acceptable. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't accept it, but we didn't want to go to them and ask them to repurpose it if council had no interest in either of those projects. So
Can I ask a question about that? Are you suggesting a pickleball court instead of the tennis courts, or
No.
are you making it a multi-court?
multi-court, you can,
Multi-court, okay.
yeah, kind of where I live, there's a basketball court, and then in the half court of, I'm sorry, there's a tennis court, and in the half court of the tennis court, you can put 2 pickleball courts. So you can have
Right. So just a multi-court. I got it.
Multi-court, yep.
Yep. Not instead of in addition.
not in lieu of, but it would be.
Madam Chair.
two groups.
Madam Vice President.
My question, well, it's more of a statement. We already have a tennis court on Chester and McDade on that property located over there. So is it really feasible to have 2 tennis courts? Maybe something else?
So the one over there isn't usable on Chester and McDade. So this conversation was, the proposal before was an additional basketball court. But then the chief lost all of his hair when he thought about us having an additional basketball court. Right. So we asked for something different.
Right, I remember.
Manage the crowds. So, but that tennis court isn't usable, and if we revitalize that as a tennis court, just my opinion, then we'll be limiting that space for recreation only. So I would rather revitalize this first and then make sure.
Well, I just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of that other property.
Right.
For it to just sit there.
Right. But I would rather that property, or I thought that was the
Right.
consensus, that we develop that property in a different manner, not as another recreation space. But this is about improving the existing recreation space.
Right. I know that. I just wanted to make sure that we're not going to lose sight of the property on Chester.
Oh, you won't.
We know it's there. It's been sitting for a while, and we would like to see that revitalized as well.
Absolutely.
So,
All right. Thank you. Sorry for the
Yeah,
interruption.
no, so it's just for council consideration. If the answer is you want to go in that direction, then we'll go, or if you want to take some time to think about it. But, we want to approach the granting agency, but we obviously don't want to do it without council's approval.
Do we need a vote, or do we just need an answer?
Just need an answer.
Just an answer. Okay. Do we want to provide that answer now rather than
I'm sorry, I wasn't. I
whether
was
we
paying
want
attention,
to?
but not.
Yes. Whether we want to repurpose and to include the pickleball lines and a higher fence for the tennis court.
Yeah, and no basketball court.
And no basketball. Instead of a basketball court, how do we feel? Can we just, it's not a vote, but just to let, no, I'm for it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with it.
All right,
Okay.
you got it.
So we'll approach them.
No, he just wanted to,
Yeah.
because it's just a modification of the grant, just how it's going to be spent. So it does need a vote, but our input is important.
Yeah, and it said it's an unmatched grant, so there's no borough money at all that has to go into it.
Yeah.
And it would be a shame to turn it back because of that.
Right.
So, Okay, we'll go in that
Sounds good.
direction.
Thank you for that solution. Sorry for
Okay.
the interruption. Go ahead.
That's all I have.
That was it?
Unless there's any questions for me.
I do have one question, just one question. Can you just give us a little update on church and McDade?
Sure.
I'm always going to ask for updates.
It's okay. I knew that would be the question, so I went down there before the meeting. So obviously, all the big holdup for the last 6 months was the ADA ramps. They're now all in place. So I think within the next 2 weeks, that project should be coming to a conclusion, which means that the signs will go up, the delineators will go up, the striping will go up, the one-way signs, all that should really happen within the next couple of weeks. So I think we're good to go there now.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
I have our mayor, and then I'll come to you.
Okay.
That was my question. So it's not, about how long will it take to complete?
I think just a couple more weeks was really, that the hard work was getting those ADA ramps in. And of course, PennDOT held us up for almost 6 months approving them. So they're now in. So the rest of the work should go very quickly. And then I don't think, Mr. Mayor, you were here at the last meeting that I was here, but PennDOT has also agreed to put another speed table further west on McDade. They're going to do that. They're doing that on their dime with a different program. They've agreed to move that forward also.
Councilman True.
Sure. And I just wanted to, I noticed listing under the Church Road Business District Streetscape, just make a correction because you had that there was a call with the Economic Development Committee, and it was actually a combination of the Planning Commission and the Yeadon Economic Development
Thank you.
Committee there. And then I just had one other, you mentioned reviews of the 1100 Chester Avenue property. I know that's been ongoing, but there's been a lot of, I should say not pushback, but a lot of the residents that live around that area are really concerned about that. So do you know like how much longer that's going to be with the additional reviews?
I mean, we finished our review. The
Okay.
only thing from our perspective is that they won't be able to use the facility without a sewage connection.
Mm-hmm.
They can't get a sewage connection because of the I&I problems that are within the, now I know that code and the solicitor's office have been dealing with the other issues, the code issues and the other problems on the property, but our review is really done. And then, since you mentioned the call, that was another grant that the borough has a grant for upgrading the business district. I think Rafi wanted to have a call with Economic Development Planning, which occurred this week, to just say that the project, we didn't get all the grant funding we were looking for, and we will have to scale back the project. And so we're, from the input from that call, we're putting together what that would look like with the amount of money we have to do the work. So.
All right. And then Hereford, please. Is there an update on that?
The solicitor's office, we did a sketch, as we talked about in the legislative session. We did a sketch that the solicitor's office has sent to their attorney, and I don't know that we've had any feedback on that yet. So, right. But we did send them that sketch of how we might be able to make that project happen. And we just haven't heard from their attorney.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Right, thank you.
All right. And then can you clarify just one more time for the 17th time? I&I is infiltration and inflow?
Yes.
Okay.
Infiltration and inflow, yes. And again, we have another grant, and we've started working on the study, which will hopefully eliminate that issue or start to eliminate that issue.
All right. Thank you so much. Next up, we'll get in.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Vice President Rucloud.
Thank you. Just for clarification, when we're talking about infiltration and inflow, that has to do with water, right?
Yes, that's water seeping into our sewage system. As a borough, we pay to have our water treated. And if rainwater is seeping into our system, then we're paying for clean water to be treated when we should be only paying for sewage to be treated. So as a result, any new construction requires that if they connect to our sewer system, that it's a healthy connection and that it's only treating what's going into the system. So this is why we need people who want to develop in our community to go through the correct process, because you can throw up the building all you want, but it can't connect to a sewage system. It's just a Lego structure. So we in this instance, there have been a lot of holdups because people have skipped steps, had some missteps, and we've had to go back and forth with the county to essentially protect the rights of our borough because we all pay for the sewage to be treated. We don't need to be paying for rainwater to be treated. So people have to abide by the rules. And if that means their projects are behind, then so be it, because we are here to protect the interests of all of the residents of the borough, not just one.
In addition to being able to sustain the amount of water that it would generate, we have to make sure that the borough can handle that amount of water. So, you know, there has been some complexity, but we're moving along.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Now, moving on to our reports, we have finance.
Thank you, Madam President. We'll be asking for consideration for AP list and the cash balance report after legislative session. And also, the Finance Department is currently working on cost analysis for the CBAs that are both up this year for Public Works and our police departments. So I will present that information to the Personnel Committee and the Borough Manager once it is complete.
You all like to speak in acronyms. They're the collective bargaining agreements.
I said that. Oh, I said CBAs. I apologize.
So those are the union, for anyone watching on Zoom or in the audience, those are our union contracts. Our Public Works Department and our Police Department operate via union contract, a collective bargaining agreement. That's it. All right. There's your report. Thank you very much. Next up, ordinance and zoning.
Madam President, April was a relatively strong month for building permits and citations. Our office received 2 zoning use applications, both for new fencing. And since we're on the topic of fencing, I just wanted to remind applicants that a permit is definitely required for fencing repairs or new fencing. One additional reminder is that zoning and surveying are required for new fences. So a zoning use application is required as well as surveying. So the resident or the business owner in that matter has to contact a surveyor to establish the proper boundary lines so the contractors know exactly where to put the fence. That's been a pretty active back and forth this past month. So that otherwise concludes my report.
Madam Chair.
Madam Vice President.
So I have I'm just a tad bit confused. It doesn't take much to confuse me, but I'm very confused right now. I'm looking at the report and it has the amount of citations and court appearances. And I see from March, 24 citations were issued and 1 court appearance. And then in April, 30 citations and 1 court appearance. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of citations, but not any court appearances. And I know for sure there should be some court appearances. So what's happening?
We don't control the court appearances. Those are scheduled with the court, and they notify us when the dates are. They are usually several months behind the issue date. Some are resolved prior to that kind of time frame. But yeah, we sit and wait for the court to issue a court date.
Well, I have had some conversations with Judge Williams, and he did say to me that it does not take several months for his court to schedule appearances. So even if that was the case, can we just go one step further and maybe reach out to the court and say, hey, this has been outstanding for a while. Can you give me a date on this?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll go back to at least the last couple months and see, start with some of the older ones and start there. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it is. But, I think that's part of the reason why we're not really moving forward with respect to enforcement because of these delays, and we have to be a little more aggressive, right? We have telephones, our telephones work, and the court is not that far from us. We have some vehicles. We can drive over there and have a casual conversation, just saying, just a quick request.
And I think that's also was the impetus behind the amended what's that 220-70. It's because our intention is to be able to draft our own citation. We kind of skip the middleman and have to wait for the courts to get actual dates. So we want our code department to be able to issue those Yeadon Borough citation, not have to wait for the magisterial court to kind of intercede. We want to be able to go ahead and issue them and action them right away because you're right.
Start where you are,
Start with what you got.
right?
Why-
Use what you
what's wrong with
have,
that? Yeah.
and do what you can.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we have to work with what we have right now.
absolutely.
So if you don't mind just taking that little step, extra step, that would be appreciated. Thank you so much.
All right, and then, are there multiple court appearances? I'm sorry, are there multiple citations that are viewed in one court appearance, or is this one court appearance for one issue?
Yeah, so one property could have multiple citations. One visit can have, it could be a car, it could be over.
So that's not the, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
sorry.
that's not the question I was asking. So when you say on your report, one court appearance, is that for one issue, or do we have different properties or under one court appearance, or you just saying it was just?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that was for one.
For one property,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe that could be another question that we could ask. Maybe Yeadon Borough could have Tuesday mornings and all of our, it just, like instead of our people having to go back and forth, maybe we can establish something like that.
Yeah, sure. And maybe I could grab an inventory of everything that we have issued that, somehow can kind of keep track.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right,
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
thank you so much. All right. There are certain times when certain people walk into the room, things just stop. And we give respect where respect is due in Yeadon. Our very own state senator, Anthony Williams, just came in. And he's a staunch supporter of Yeadon and very key to our progress here. So in respect for his time, because he showed up, Senator, if there's something that you'd like to say to our community, thank you for being here. Little old Yeadon.
So I'm going to say a few things. One, I admire my boroughs in Delaware County. What people don't necessarily know is that these are not famous positions. They're not really paid positions. They truly are the last line of what people believe in, what democracy is about. Preserving and protecting our neighborhoods, our community, promoting our children. So I really do respect what you all do collectively on behalf of the citizens of Yeadon. And frankly, in these times, the example you set for the nation. It is one thing to live in a country where we take for granted the cover of the Constitution and the civility of other human beings in consideration. Unfortunately, we don't live like that anymore. To see you all as counsel disagreeing civilly, productively towards a goal, digging yourself out of a deep financial hole, having a view of what can be on the horizon collectively means a lot to people like me and to citizens every single day. I'm proud to say that, the state is doing its part. Annually, we provide grants to the town, and thank God you all don't waste the money. You use it for what it's intended for. And we'll continue to support you in that regard. Mayor, you and I are reaching a certain point in our life where Ray won't cover our age anymore, brother. I just want you to know that, man. So, but wisdom is important. That's right. Because the history of Yeadon, its legacy, in particular for people of color, is extraordinary about the example it set. So the way you all conduct yourselves but that history is very important. And I'll just be even more transparent. The transformation of how it was and how it is striking. I came here tonight, one, because I want to celebrate in a budgetary cycle for the state that the needs of Yeadon are not forgotten on myself or the speaker. And so those things that you think that we might be able to be supportive of, I encourage you to forward them to me now, because we're going to vote on a budget maybe in June, I don't know. But nonetheless, we want to make sure those priorities are taken care of. And also because I just feel it's important that every once in a while we stop by to say we're still watching, even though we don't necessarily get here on a regular basis, that we're connected. And each and every one of you have significant roles apart from this, and significant roles beyond this. I just think that the town should know the sacrifices you all make on behalf of us are significant, and the stewardship couldn't be more solid. And I will tell you, I literally, now, I'm going to tell you this one. The president of your council called me. And you know how when people call you, pretend like they don't really want anything, but they do want something? So they call up and say, well, how you doing? Oh, boy, here we go. But I wanted to make sure that your call was responded to. I shot across town. Came here. I got to go back across town. But I just thought it was important that I acknowledge all that you're doing on behalf of us, and tip my hat to each individual here that's working as a collective. God bless you. Continue to be protected, and much success for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming. We have Public Works.
Thank you, Madam President. The brief is short tonight. Our PICO project is ongoing with traffic being diverted from Bailey. So thank you everyone for your patience.
Just speak up.
Thank you everyone for your patience while that project is going on, and thank you for the traffic detail, Chief. We have a main being installed on Bailey, and they're going to head north on Union. We had several sanitary sewer issues that were addressed promptly, and all the borough plots are being maintained, grass, lawn, anything, weekly, if not twice a week, with all the rain that we've been having. And next week we'll be prepping for Flag Day. We had some, we're going to get the pole installed at the circle soon. We put some concrete in there. So that should be up, and we're looking forward to a great day for Flag Day. Otherwise, I wanted to note something for council that came up through public safety was a grant called Safe Streets for All. That's federal dollars. It's not state. It's something for the council to consider. Applications will be due in June, so I'm looking forward to hearing what the council has to say for complete streets and making sure we are safe on all of our roads and traffic control measures. So that's it for my update.
Okay, thank you so much.
Madam
Just
President.
for,
Sorry. Go ahead.
just for the benefit of our public and those on Zoom, you're a bit of a newer face here, so could you let us know your name and the department that you represent in that position?
Yes, I apologize. Hello, everyone. This is my second meeting. My name is Catherine Powell. I am the 1 month in Director of Public Works. It's nice to meet everyone and see everyone here again. I am an engineer by training, went to Tucker University, so go Owls. And yes, ma'am. And I'm very excited to be here. I was at the Philadelphia School District for some time, and prior to that, I was at the EPA working on brownfields grants. So I can't answer all questions about the EPA, but for brownfields, I can. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm a Lansdowne, that's my hometown, born and raised there, so I'm not too far from here. And thank you for having me. Really appreciate being here.
All right, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Councilman Pete.
I just wanted to commend you yourself, our Public Works Department, for that quick response on that inlet repair and the sign repair that you guys did. I emailed that morning, went by that afternoon, it was fixed, and then saw the sign. Emailed you about that. Next day, the sign was fixed. So
Yes, sir.
commend you, the Public Works Department, Borough Manager, for doing a great job on it.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Our guys are very great. They're stellar. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mayor?
Yeah, Ms. Hawk, I want to lend my voice to welcome you to Yeadon Borough, and I want to say you learned something when I started at SEPTA some 40 years ago. You never get a second chance to make a good first impression. You made a great first impression on public safety meeting. And I want to kind of piggyback on what you said to get some clarity. You did bring up this Operation Safe Streets, and you just mentioned it now, and you, correct me if I'm wrong, you're asking for council's approval. There's a deadline for, so it's coming up, right? Is there something that we need to vote on? Is it?
The Complete Streets resolution would be what would have to happen, either voted on to pass now or by
Is that
next
something?
week.
Okay, so you got it under control. Okay, I just want
Yeah.
to be clear. that
Complete Streets resolution.
We don't lose that window of opportunity, because it sounds like, from what I've heard, something that's a win-win situation. There's grants involved in this?
Correct. So Safer Streets for All, it's a grant from USDOT, federal dollars. Part of that grant, a linchpin of that grant, is passing a Complete Streets resolution. It's a commitment to ending our fatalities and injuries related to accidents and vehicles in the borough.
Thank you.
All right. And could you tell us a little bit more about what that would entail? After we pass the resolution, we would be eligible to apply for the grant, but what types of activity does the grant cover?
Correct. So you'll pass the resolution. It would allow us to apply for the grant. So we can't have any promised funds, but there are two types of grants that are allowed through Safer Streets. One is like a planning grant. That would just be like traffic studies and stuff. The second part, which is the one that I would ask for the borough's support on, is an implementation grant that has an action plan. So that action plan would include, let's say, along Bailey, some sort of parkway, if that's what the public wants and if that's something that the council wants. And we would, I'm sorry?
Sir, no, thank you. No, thank you. You know the rules here, sir. Thank you.
Whatever the public would deem necessary, just to calm traffic. But that's an example. It's not set in stone. It's up to all of you.
I guess my question would be, are we identifying the project? Are you making a recommendation for a project?
Not yet.
Like for a grant? Oh, so you
Not
just
yet.
apply for
We
the
have-
grant in general?
Correct. So the Complete Streets resolution, if it's not passed, we can't possibly come up with an action plan to address traffic in the borough to apply for funds to address those projects.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. This just kind of sounds like it works differently than the other grants that we've applied for. So I just wanted to make sure that we are not being a bottleneck in your process, because we only have one voting meeting a month.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
I have, Councilor Trent and then Vice President Cloud.
This is supposedly an ongoing project at the old Yeadon Swim Club, trying to clear out all that debris. Do you know whether it might be a completion? It seems like there hasn't been much progress.
Yes. So I drove by there this afternoon, and I heard them working. I saw them working. I will get back to you on that. I'm not sure. I think they hire their own maintenance, so I would have to contact them. From what I understand,
Who would hire their own maintenance?
the swim club, correct?
No, you may be thinking of the other swim club in our town. It's the Nile Swim Club.
Oh, yes. I apologize.
There's a property that we own,
Chester.
on Chester. And it's, there was some dumping there. There were some projects left behind there that was supposed to be cleared and flattened out. Some progress had been made, but it was already in progress prior to you joining our team. So I would just say that if we have these questions, that we can give her some time to answer that. Maybe you can have an answer for us by next week.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. All right. Vice President Cloud.
Hello again. I have two questions. The first one has to do with Love Garden.
I actually visited Love Garden, I believe last week, Saturday. It was the kickoff of planting, and they have a pretty nice setup over there. And I was quite surprised, but I noticed that there are some things that's definitely needed over there, some signage. And Michael Zula was there as well Saturday. So maybe you can, have a conversation with him because we did have this discussion, but it looks like we need some signage over there. We have compost bins over there and people have been putting trash in them. So they're probably doing it because we don't have a sign telling them this is not a trash can. And then we are going to need some signage that's going to be more prominent. The current sign over there is probably like, I don't know, 36 inches long, and it's hanging on the baseball cage. So hopefully we can sit there, have a conversation, or just go over there and meet and see exactly what's needed, just to make it more robust. But they're doing a fabulous job over there.
They are absolutely great.
Yes. The second thing that I have is Graceland, the cemetery. There were residents that formed a group and they were beautifying that cemetery, trying to bring it back up to its natural beauty. And again, Michael Zulo was involved with that as well. And it looked like things just kind of stopped. So I'm just, at the last meeting, he did indicate that he was going to meet with the residents, that group, and they were going to discuss what their next course of action was going to be over there. So,
I'll ask for an update from him.
yes, please, please.
And for Love Garden signage and revamping that.
I'm sorry.
And for Love Garden signage.
Oh, Love Garden, yes,
Revamping.
yes, Love Garden. They bear fruits, they grow the fruits and vegetables and give it out to the residents. Yeah, so that's something that's really, I like it.
I'll
I
report
like
back
that.
next meeting along with,
Yeah, so anything that we can do to kind of help over there, I would like for us to do. Yeah, it's little things. The little things mean a lot.
I have them right here. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we also, in our prior budget, Mr. Nichols, did we set aside, we took into consideration some of what needed to take place at, we had a list of things, so maybe we can get that over to you, what was needed, because the garden group, it's a group of volunteers in the community. They let us know what would be needed to make sure, like a shed and some other things that would have been for this spring. We did include it in the budget. Don't look at me like that. I don't know if it was a part of recreation.
You should start talking about.
Did a lot. But yeah, so the community, as they were closing out their garden, it was around budget time. So we did access certain things. So it's just, although your department does a lot of the labor, there are funds available. Yeah. Yeah, see? Blame Mr. Hudson. But yeah, so we did have a list of what was needed over there for them. So perhaps you could access that, speak with Mr. Hunter. He was at those meetings as well. And our resident who usually joins us online, Hakima Jabbar, she's kind of the spearheads that project. So we'll also ask her to reach out to you because they are really community volunteers and they shouldn't be coming out of their own pockets for things. I said, they remind me of like a group of teachers who buying their own books and pencils and everything for their class when we do. We care about what they do for our community. So we want to be able to support them and have this as an ongoing project. So, all right, thank you so much.
And Madam Chair, to piggyback off of that, you identified some individuals that you could converse with respect to the Love Garden, but for Graceland Cemetery, I only know a few of the member names. Clara Johnson is one of the members, I believe. Susan Wallace, right? Another. Councilman Peets. He's part. Why didn't you speak up? Right. Okay, and Mike Trent. Right. So these are some individuals that you call also. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if you want to meet with everybody.
You got the whole team.
Some people, you have some names that, you can meet with to kind of bring you up to speed with what's going on over there and what the expectations are. So
Thank you. I want to echo that sentiment. I'm very glad we have a very active community and they take care of our passions with the garden and Graceland.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
right.
Thank you.
Public safety.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
For the month of April, the department responded to 1,058 calls for service. We had 7 criminal arrests in the month of April. 3 non-traffic citations were issued. 60 traffic tickets were issued. 1,130 parking tickets were issued. You might have seen on Sunday, we had an officer that got injured. He is doing well. He's hopefully will be back soon. His foot was run over by a vehicle. He was in Darby, backing up Darby for a domestic situation, and unfortunately his foot got ran over. As the mayor mentioned, Earth Day was a success. I appreciate being invited out. We had a great time cleaning up. And also in the month of April, it was Black maternity or Black Maternal Health Week, and I was invited from the president of City Council, Kiana Johnson, and it was actually a good round table. I actually enjoyed it. I was actually honored to be invited, and I realized I'm Italian because I watched somebody show me an Instagram video and I'm talking like this. So you tie my hands, I'll stop talking, I promise. Also in the month of April, we had training for our officers for the LEDI program. That is the Law Enforcement Treatment Initiative. This was a program that I'm pretty familiar with because at the time the Attorney General spearheaded this program. What it does is we can defer people with a substance abuse problem if we stop them on the street with a small amount of narcotics, and we can actually take them to treatment immediately. We've already had 2 situations we used. Our officers did the training this month, and we utilized it twice to actually give people help that need the help. So you're and they have to fulfill the 30-day inpatient, and then we can talk about reducing the charges or removing the charges. It's a great program. So we signed up, and the officers the buy-ins there, and it's been working well. And sort of emergency management slash law enforcement, as the mayor talked about the crisis situation with Chester Crozier, it has been ongoing. I keep getting messages from my officers like, hey, chief, you told us it was this way, it was this way. It's changed about 350 times since last week. We are partnering with Elwyn. Elwyn is a great resource. They've been unbelievable. We've had some situations where we had individuals that were having crisis. They came out, met the officers, and helped on scene. So right now, as the mayor spoke about, we're actually bringing, if we have a 302 commit or somebody that's in crisis, we're bringing them to Fitz, and then Fitz is deciding where to send them to. So we're trying. I mean, every day we're trying. So it is definitely an emergency management situation and a police situation, but we're trying the best we can to provide the service to the community.
Okay.
And there ends my reports. Any questions?
So, Madam Chair, just wanted to say, Chief, thank you so much just to share that with this crisis, particularly with mental health trauma. So I'm working with the National Association of Mental Illness, working in Delaware County through checking with the providers and also with the houses of faith to make sure people are trained and know exactly where to connect with the resources. And I reached out to Chief with our police department. So they've agreed to, we're going to be holding a conference in September that we're working towards. And our chief has responded and will be participating with our police department. And I also wanted to check with the care card, Chief, if you wanted to mention where you are with that and how we can help with that.
That is, the care card was an initiative we're going to start, and you can credit where credit is due. There's a police department outside. I got involved with New Blue. New Blue was a fellowship that I was invited to last year. So essentially, in New Blue, you have to come up with a capstone project. So they were highlighting a capstone project from the Evanston Police Department. They call it the care card. Essentially, what happens is when someone's arrested in their area, they have a form that's voluntary, and I already checked with Jack Stolzheimer's. We're good. It's a voluntary form where once we get it produced, our officers will ask an individual arrested, like, hey, are you suffering being unhoused? Do you have a drug addiction problem? Or do you have food insecurities? Do you need language skills? And what we're going to do is once that's formulated the form, I'll get the form and we'll have a soft handoff to someone in the community to provide service if we can. And it's worked great in Evanston. My capstone project that actually Apostle Dixon and I are working on, and we're going to present it to funders next week. Hopefully we'll get some funding, is a mediation program. So essentially we're looking at if there's a neighborhood problem, like, oh, your property line's there and this constantly keeps happening with neighbors. Like, let's face it, like there's a lot of neighbor problems. Like, or you cut your grass too low, or, I don't like your pink flamingo or your gnome in the front lawn. We're going to try to have something where people are trained voluntary, it's a volunteer corps, but we can actually say, hey, we have this non-binding mediation. Instead of saying, go to Judge Williams, go to Judge Williams, go to Judge Williams. Maybe adults can try to work out their problem like adults, like in a civil matter, and try to resolve any problem. So hopefully that'll, not putting a cart before the horse, but the care cart, I've met with a lot of people, Savage Sisters, which does tremendous homeless outreach. They're willing. I met with Fitz. Fitz is on board. It's just with everything going on with the hospital crisis, it's kind of been put on the back burner. But I'm hoping by June to actually have it up and running. And it'll be a beta test here to see if it works, and then maybe it can get pushed out to the rest of the county. So just to try to do something, because to try to show that we really care about people. I mean, even though people get arrested, people have stories. So
Yeah, that's true. And I just want to commend you, Chief, for taking the initiative to get out ahead of it, because we're in an environment where we're going to see more people who are in need. And rather than, resulting to let's arrest them, let's find out what's going on and how can we help them and connect. So, I'm appreciative that there are members in our community that are taking that stance and they're stepping up to say, let's come together and figure out how we can really be a resource and really be a light to direct them to the kind of support they need. So thank you.
And unfortunately, not being political, unfortunately, as we see what's going on, we had a program that we were involved with, and it was 30 by 30. So essentially what it was by 2030, we wanted to have at least 30% collectively of females representing law enforcement. But as you could imagine, that program, we found out when I was in DC, got cut. And so the programs that can help are unfortunately being cut I'm not going to go there, but we can all imagine why. So
that's true. So caring about
but that's not my official position. That's Henry Gianmarco's position. So I like when I put stuff on, it's my position, not the Yeadon Borough position I represent. So
thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Watch your porch.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm going to pull out my mega chainsaw. You keep going, okay?
I have one question, Madam Chair. The training you were referencing with respect to a small amount of narcotics and giving them the choice if they want to go to rehab, or could you just talk about that?
Yeah, it's the law enforcement treatment. Basically, what they came up with is it's almost like drug court, but it's basically like immediate drug court. They'll still hold paper on you, so you'll still have the criminal complaints done, but you'll go and then we'll have a conversation with the DA's office and say, hey, you know what, we stopped this individual. They had a small amount of marijuana, or a small amount of cocaine, or a small amount of drugs. They were definitely a drug addicted individual. And now they completed it's still up to the DA's office and the police. If the police officer still wants to file the charges, file the charges. So like if you're walking down the street with $8,000 in your pocket and half a kilogram of cocaine, you're not going to drug court. You're getting federal time.
No, I was just.
It's not.
When you said I was under the impression that, if someone was walking down the street and they have a little bit of something in their pocket, right then and there, you give them a choice. You want to go to rehab right then, or you want to go get processed. So that's why I was like,
No, we're not.
To be sure.
No.
Okay.
Especially if they have a nice car, we'll seize that if it's paid off too, so we get some more cars.
Councilor Beatty.
When is this going into effect?
What? The LEDI program?
Yeah.
It's already in effect. It's in effect, yes. Yeah.
I'm glad that you said it was going to be up to a judge and not the individual officers.
Yeah. The DA's office, because the DA's office is ultimately who process. Yeah, that's who eventually we can bring charges, but the DA's office either yay or nays it. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is that all you have for us?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you. Next up, we have our planning commission, Councilor Schumer.
Certainly. So we have hit the ground running. So in the last month, we have met with the Yeadon Economic Development Corporation to sit and talk with them to hear what they've been working on with the business community as we've been reviewing the neighborhood district codes, as we're looking at all of the commercial districts throughout Yeadon, including the industrial park, because we really want to make this a walkable community. And we want to identify each of the business districts to have a certain look. And then also reviewing the codes that are currently in place to see what needs to be modified, what needs to be updated as we look at attracting new businesses to come in, because we want people to have a reason to come to Yeadon, to shop, to eat, to whatever, to stay. And then what should it look like starting from the top of Church Lane, going all the way down. So we want to include, as I said, reaching out to the Yeadon Economic Development Corporation, and the low-hanging fruit that we're dealing with right now is the grant that the engineer just spoke about that's available for that business district in the 700 block. So we're going to be working with them. They're putting together a forum of the businesses, because obviously we want to hear with them what they feel the streetscaping needs to look like. But when we talk about streetscaping, we have the idea of a designated look, whether it's color, and in addition to what the sidewalks look like, and, what the streetscaping with the trees and, the landscaping looks like, but also to incorporate, our historical commission, because we have a lot of good history. So putting up the flags, and perhaps we could have specific flags or specific, markers that speak to certain parts of our history. And since Flag Day is what we're known for, we really need to utilize the flag, and we can utilize colors and different types of flags and marker flags all the way through. And then we're looking at the entrances and working with the engineer, because they're already working on some things. But we like to see when you come into Yeadon the same way when you come into Media. When you see that nice wall with Media, why can't we have the same thing? So those are the things that we're looking at. So in addition to we're taking a look at the neighborhood residential commercial business district codes, our next meeting is going to be with the Code Commission, because we want to talk with them, because again, it's about, we can't work as silos. We've got to work together, so that when we propose changes that we need to be made, when we come back to council, we're coming back as a collective. This is why, and this is what we need to do, and so we can start moving forward. But right now, the first project, obviously, because we already have the money for it, is looking at that 700 block. We're starting there.
Thank you so much, and thank you for revitalizing our planning commission. It sounds like the Safe Streets for All grant may be able to be a part of the long-range planning. So, much like we stack the other grants that the engineer presents to us, this could be a grant in phases. And if we were awarded those monies as well, that could be used to further those projects. All right. Is there a representative here from the library? I didn't think I saw it. All right. Recreation?
Good evening, everyone. Once again, we are in the middle of planning, well, actually at the end, I should say, of planning Flag Day. Want to remind everybody the parade will be on Bailey Road, not Church Lane. Please come out, bring your friends, your family, your little ones. Line up on Bailey Road, meet to congregate at Community Park if you want to see the beginning of the parade. But we're coming up Bailey Road, up through to the circle, and then the program will commence after the parade. Around 11 a.m. is the start. So then we'll do all day on Longacre Boulevard. And then we'll break for 9 o'clock. We'll come back over to the athletic complex for our drone show. So that is going to be exciting. I want to encourage everyone to bring family and friends to that. I want to also encourage those of you in the community to come out tomorrow to the Yeadon Dems public forum that they're going to have for the candidates tomorrow at Cypress Street at 6 p.m. Cypress Street is the middle school, right around the corner over here. You can get a lot of those questions that you asked answered from the candidates that are running for council for either re-election or election. know about some of the concerns that you all have about a recreation center. We'll come to the meeting tomorrow and get your questions answered. Then about what we can do, what we would like to do, and what we would like to see happen here in Yeadon. So that is all I have. The next recreation committee meeting will be June 3rd, at 6:30 via Zoom for the committee, where we will finalize our, Flag Day plans, and then we will break for the summer and reconvene probably in September for what we plan on doing in the fall. So more information will come at that time, what we plan on doing for the fall program. So that is, thank you.
Can I just interject quickly that although it's being hosted by the Yeadon Democratic Committee, the forum, all candidates were invited. It was a nonpartisan. It just needed a host. So I just wanted to make sure that that was stated, that we're not encouraging one thing or another here. We're just they were just a group that's hosting a forum to let you know who your candidates are, and this election is very important. So, Mr. Hunter.
Oh, thank you. I have no voice left. Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Just a reminder that on Wednesday, May the 14th, we have our free watershed and rain barrel workshop at Yeadon Borough Hall, second floor, 6:30 to 7:30. So even if you haven't signed up, please come out because we may have opportunity to get some more rain barrels. There'll be a couple of other workshops in Upper Darby and Morton later in the month. So 6:30 on Wednesday, we should have a good turnout. Also, too, the Good Gardening Plant Sale, which is hosted by Penn State University, will be held on May the 10th, which is this Saturday, from 9 to 1 at Smedley Park. So if you need any kind of plants, trees, annuals, perennials, whatever, go over to that program. I think Monica Hughes, who's one of our gardeners, is a master gardener. So there are going to be a lot of things. If you go a little bit later when it's almost over, you can kind of pick up some things that people have left over. So that'll be 9 to 1 on this Saturday at Smedley Park. And finally, the rain garden at Community Park is finished. So hopefully we'll get some rain this year and we can kind of see how this thing works. Hopefully what we're going to do, if you've seen it, it's a very, very large rain garden and it has a lot of runoffs in it. So if we can capture the water off of Union Avenue, maybe we can help at least alleviate some of the flooding that takes place over there. Also, too, we have the community garden. Councilor Roadcloud was out there giving us direction on Saturday. But I think we're going to get some signage. We're going to get the Stormwater Coalition to help out a lot with the garden. So that's coming up. Very soon, you'll be getting information on our free vegetable program. It's getting kind of scary because people are calling already. But that will start hopefully in July and run all the way through to November. And so you'll have more information on that pretty soon.
They need to expand.
Yes. Very much so.
All right, can I ask you a question about the rain barrel workshop? Are you actually giving out rain barrels that day?
Yes, those people who signed up. Now, the sign up is passed. That's full. Usually they'll have a few extra rain barrels, but yeah, we're giving out rain barrels that day. So the program will be from 6:30 to 7:30 in the auditorium, and then people who signed up will get their rain barrels.
Okay.
And then if we can figure out a way to get a few extra, we will. And then also, too, we have a way of getting some extra rain barrels.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, the reason I was asking is when I attended the rain barrel workshop a number of years ago, I had to call back up to come and pick mine up. I didn't realize how big it was.
Yeah.
Maybe send out a message to everyone who signed up.
The last one we had was was composting.
Right.
And those were pretty flimsy. You could count.
Yeah, the rain barrels are
a little difficult.
Last ones were flimsy.
Well, they weren't flimsy, but they were, you could compress them.
You could kinda
they had an
compress them,
opening.
yeah.
But the rain barrels, they are
Yeah.
one sturdy structure.
Yeah.
So you need a large vehicle to be able to transport. I remember, I think I took 2 or 3
Right.
to some residents who didn't realize, like I didn't realize that this wasn't something you could just put on your back seat and go.
No, it's a little bit bigger than that.
Right.
But we, for those who don't get the rain barrels this time, we'll keep working. We'll get some more this summer. We have some of our grant money from the coalition has been funded. So there's some money in some of the grants also to support community gardens. So, and also 2 trees that we want to put a few more trees in community park and also for homeowners. So we're working with Mike to get that done. So it's going to work out pretty good. It's going to be pretty busy this spring.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. How did it go on the 19th?
No, I made to have a baton.
All right. Thank you so much.
It went well. In addition to, we also hosted the Yelko Boys and Girls last Friday. The track meet was supposed to be held at Upper Dark, but because of pending rain, we decided to move both meets to Yeadon. So we had that many last week. Everybody wants to come to Yeadon now.
I wonder why. If you build it, they will come. All right. Well, thank you so much. If there's nothing else said for the good of the group, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Thank you very much for coming out. This meeting is adjourned.